Building a Star Wars Inspired Spaceship home bar in my garden, part 17. With the white Foamex in place, I've then spray painted some black spray paint for some lines to add some more depth when I overlay it with some thicker panels. These panels are foam supplied by the great people at Tygessupplies, who were really helpful in helping me out with this project. I had a deal with another company for months about this project with the materials and supplies and collaboration. However, at the last minute, 2 days before they were going to be supplying the materials for the stage that I needed them for, they decided to pull out with no real reason, which sucked because this was the next and nearly final stage of this project. So I reached out to Tygessupplies and explained the situation to them, and they were so happy to help, and I can't thank them enough. They supplied the foam that I use for the outside before fiberglassing and all of the foam for the inside paneling, which I'm doing now. My technique for getting the right shapes for the paneling of the inside was pretty much using some white acrylic paint to draw on the actual walls of the shapes that I wanted, and then pressing the foam up against it to leave a bit of an imprint of where those shapes are, and then sketch it out a bit better. I'm then labeling them all 1 to 10 on the left and A to B, C, alphabetically on the right.
You don't know the alphabet.
Bitch, are you dumb?
For these smaller, more intricate ones, I'm using a thin piece of white foam, which is usually just for protecting the foam itself in delivery, and gluing them just over the edge onto the back to give them a bit of a bevel. And even though they're white already, I want more of a gloss white, so I'm using these couple of paints also supplied by Tygessupplies. Once I was happy with the colour and paint job, I then used my number and opposing letter system on the other side, and used some Alpha Fix in some spots, especially the corners, and then also a little bit of no nails in the centre areas, just to make sure that they were fully stuck on. There was some slight variations in the shape after I'd added the foam that kind of goes over the edges and the distance between some of the panels, but these are handmade, so those variations are kind of normal compared to a film studio would probably cut these out of a CNC machine and kind of machine made to the exact measurements. I wasn't a big fan of some of the gaps kind of behind the edges, so I filled it in with some caulk and smoothed it out with a paintbrush and a little bit of water to kind of get the shape that I wanted. I did try the same technique on the larger panels, mainly going on the ceiling, but I got these air bubbles and things, so in the end I decided to just Dremel off the edges to get them a bit smoother and a bit more beveled. Then once they were smooth, I used the same technique and same paints in order to make sure that all of the panels looked uniform and similar at least. Tygessupplies also sent me a couple of their patterned kind of engraved foam panels that they do, which look really cool, and I'm not sure where I'm going to use them on the ship yet, but I thought I'd just show you guys in case you want them yourself for any specific cosplay or building projects. I then glued the larger panels to the ceiling using the same Alpha Fix and some no nails. However, I don't trust glue fully, especially on something that's going to be above my head like this, so I also put a few screws in and then later filled in those holes to hide where those screw marks are. And I also put one of those panels in the cockpit area to make sure it kind of flows through from the cockpit to the main seating bar area. We're on the home stretch of finishing up the inside of this spaceship bar, so stay tuned to see how it all turns out.